Okay, good evening all and welcome in. Welcome to another Sunday. Hope you're all doing well. I hope you're coping with the heat if you're anywhere here in Europe. We're having a bit of a heat wave for us. I don't want to hear about the Middle East. I don't want to hear about the US. I get it. Some places are warmer, but for us, this is unseasonably warm. We're coping just about. But before I get into any more of my griping, I'm just going to pop this sound on because I'm not sure if you are hearing much in the background in the way of background noise. Hopefully you're not. I really hope you're not. But if you are, I've got a little bit of background noise we can just pop on. There we go. Just a tiny little bit, just to distract from whatever the microphone's doing. I got a fan right here blowing into my face. I don't know if you can tell it's trying to give me the L'Oreal effect. Let's figure it out. If it's really really annoying, let me know. I'm not saying I'll change it because it's toasty warm in here, but we'll see. So now we're there. Good evening to, in no particular order, good evening to Chew Paranoid, Space Saga, Wooter, Ashra, Viper Leo, Stuart, Calco, Ray Louderbeck, Notorious, Rusty Pigeon, Nero, Jamlack, and Luna. Hello, mate. Good to see you. Good to see everyone. It's going to be one of those, and it's one of those streams. So a little bit has happened this week in terms of we've had 4.8.2, we've had the Raylan, we've had the Tulu, Toloi, Toily, blah, 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 whatever that's called. Someone help me out with that. What is it? What is it now? What's it called? I don't know the name of it. Don't be silly. I just do the thing with the stuff. Pronunciation was not on the required reading list, so I've not done it. So there. I mean, even if it had been on the required reading list, the chances are, I wouldn't have bothered. But yes, so T. Louis, T. Louis, T. Louis. Okay, yeah, let's go with that. Let's go with T. Louis. Okay, fine. Yes. So there's that. We've also had a couple of other things, and I'm just going to scoot us across to that straight away. We had a very, very successful stream. In fact, we had a stream peak of 180 plus viewers, which is incredible. So thank you, everyone that was there. If you weren't, where the hell were you? Q, stare. But really, really good stream, and really pleased to have a look at those ships. But there were other things we missed. On that day, we had the Roadmap Roundup, and then the following day, we had Tech Talk with Benoit Séjour, and they started talking about the massive issues that are facing everyone with 4.8 and 4.8.1 specifically. Some of it is obvious, some of it not so much. We'll do a little bit of digging into that, but as I've said with the thumbnail, as I've said with the title, there's something we all need to bear in mind with stability in Star Citizen at this stage, all the way up to 1.0, and we'll cover that as well. So, scooting across to the Roadmap Roundup first, there's this. So, Raylan and T. Louis are out, so that's that. And then for 4.9, we also have ship recovery, so updating ship and item recovery to better support custom loadouts throughout timed claims, optional expedite fees, freight elevator item claims, and debuting. I need to quit. I need to just go, like, my language, not so much. And debuting, there you go, that's better. A free recovery option when losses are detected as outside the player's control. How that works, no clue, but that's now tentative 4.9. We have the Ninetales armor update. This sounds really basic and boring. Put a pin in that. Just put a pin in that. I've got a picture to show you in a second, and I want to know what you think. The CQ7 bullpup rifle is where the trigger and hand assembly is forward of the magazine housing, so rather than unloading like that, like you would with an AK or an AR-15, you're unloading like that, like you would do with an SA-80. And that's in the game. I know Eva Carty have been testing it, not quite sure how they're finding it yet, but that's that. And then we have coming up, which I think is going to be really cool, from just an aesthetic perspective, the Ordnance cargo holder, and that's dedicated storage frames for missiles, torps, and bombs to be placed on cargo grids to improve presentation and handling. Very cool. I can see a lot of carrier ops are going to make that look really, really good on like the flight deck and stuff. And then, huzzah! 2 new hairstyles. Who knew? And that's that. That's where it is. This light's going to die, by the way, at some point down here. And all of a sudden we'll be plunged into darkness. Which some of you are probably thinking, Badges, we don't have a problem with that because, you know, I'm not that pretty to look at anyway. And I get it. I'm probably not. So there you go. Right. So that's that. Let's have a look at then this Ninetales armor that's coming. And I actually think that this, of course it's done that, is really pretty. Bear with me for just a moment. There we go. That's better. That looks a little better. Let's go with that instead. Now it looks good, right? This allegedly is the update to the Ninetales armor, unless I've been debated. Wouldn't be beyond the realms of possibility. This is really, really pretty stuff. I really kind of like this. They are basically becoming the Yakuza of the Star Citizen universe. And yeah, especially the heavy armor stuff over here, I need me a set of that. I was whinging just today. I went to a bunker and there was some dude dead. It turns out he was a player because it had all the notifications when you tried to take weapons off him and stuff. But dressed entirely in Ninetales armor. And I just thought, had he been like alive in there, I would have shot him without a second thought because he was dressed completely as Ninetales. But I actually kind of want to run around, especially the heavy guy on the right. That looks incredible. So, there. It looks really good. Really, really stylish. I'm quite excited to get my hands on some of the heavy stuff. There we go. There's that. Welcome in, Blamsmith. Good to see you, buddy. Yeah. And Wiggy, if I hadn't said hello before that, buddy, good to see you as well. 3 degrees in the outback today. A little bit chilly where you are then. Fantastic. It feels a little bit cyberpunk. Hopefully it'll be in different colours. I kind of like it as it is. I know it's gaudy, but that's the sort of gaudy, it's stylish gaudy. So, that. My head was covering the heavy armour. Was it indeed? Stand by then. Okay. Give me just a second. I can fix this. I can fix this. I can put myself in the middle. Stand by. Stand by. I'm hoping that it's moved everything, but just... There we go. How's that? Better? There we go. That's what it looks like. I think I like it because it's not quite as samurai as the others, although it does have very heavily stylized like patterning, but that is cool. So there we go. Hopefully I haven't pulled the frame out of, or the webcam out of the frame, but you know, if I have, then apologies. But we'll move on now. There we go. Okay. I guess a little bit closer if you wanted to be. I think that's really cool. It is a little bit cyberpunk, as Stuart said. Hey, Jabba, good to see you, mate. So yeah, so there's that. Right, so that's that. They brought out a Q&A for the Tllue. That's where we're going. I think that's where we've landed, right? The Tllue. So, here we go. While they both share a similar interior and weapons as the Tllue, a variant of the Raylan, and what sets them apart. They share some of the interior, that's obvious. You've only got to look at the images to see that the Tlue's, the rear end is bigger, right? It's a different, at least, bit at the back. The front bit might be very similar. Other levels have significant differences to benefit the differing roles of the two ships. Externally, while the front profile is similar, the sides and rear of the Tllue have changes to support the snub hanger, and as such it is not a variant of the Raylan. Which I guess is code for we don't want to skin them the same? I don't know. Maybe I'm being a little bit unfair. But yeah, there we go. What kind of experience were you aiming to deliver with the Tllue, and what feelings or moments are you most excited for players to experience? We want it to feel even more alien than the Raylan. With the addition of the multi-directional gravity hanger, that is quite cool. It looks very good at least. The hanger space allows player to walk on any of the 4 pads and control the rear hanger door independently, which is cool, and launch out. And where does it sit in the current ecosystem of ships? It's the first dedicated snub fighter carrier. While other ships do this indirectly, it is not their sole focus. The Toloi packs the ability to carry 4 snub fighters, 96 SU of cargo, and hangar services in a compact package. And it certainly is that. It's interesting. What can a solo pilot expect? As a solo crewed ship, the Toloi allows you to carry a selection of ships for use. Obviously, more players aboard allow for more opportunities. In other words, this is not a multi-crew ship. And I don't think that's too hard to figure out, right? Something that carries a carrier with 1 player. The whole can I solo it thing? No. I mean, you can fly it from A to B, but everything can get flown A to B, right? Idrises can get flown A to B. You know, hulls can get flown A to B. Anything can. But solo it? Yeah. You know, when you talk about soloing something in a game, you're not just talking about getting there and then dying horribly, right? You're talking about completing the mission. And the Toloi isn't that. 4 snub plans give players serious flexibility. See what they're doing there? They're telling you. They're telling you what to think. What can be stored there, and what does that mean for the Toloi in action? The Toloi's primary role is carrying snub fighters such as the Fury series, Pitbull, and Merlin. This allows those ships to partake in battles well beyond their home location to add firepower to any encounter. And that is actually important. Not only are you going to have the Ironclad shifting this stuff around, but of course, without a quantum drive, snubs are exceptionally limited in range. So, with pilot weapons, manned and remote turrets, missiles, and deployable snubs all in play, how do these layers come together in combat? And what does it mean for how the Toloi handles a fight? So it basically looks like, before they answer this, I'm going to answer with what I think. It basically looks like your answer is snub or ship weapons, because you don't have that many crew on board. I suppose you can carry a lot more than the beds allow. It's always possible to do that right now, just like the Ironclad would, to carry a hangar full of Furies or Pitbulls or whatever. But yeah. The wide variety of offensive and defensive weaponry allows the Toloi and its crew to both attack targets as a single unit or as a mini fleet. It also allows it to defend itself in the event the snubwiters are otherwise engaged or unavailable. That, multi-crew, right? There's not a lot of surprises, I don't think, in this. Right, the Toloi actively supports its snubs through repair, rearm, and refuel. What does sustaining those ships look like in practice, and how does the cargo capacity support that role? I feel like this is for anyone that's not done the carrier gameplay before, because if you have, we all know that, right? The cargo supports rearm, repair, refuel, and uses it up as a resource. This is obvious, right? Am I missing something? This is clearly not for the more experienced players, that question. So how does it handle, and what should players expect from its flight profile for a ship of its size and role? It's a medium industrial ship. Is it? Anyone smell that? Because I'm smelling that, and I'm not liking what I'm smelling. You know? Just saying. Just going to pop some music again in the background. Just because of the mic. AV says, from what I saw, it looked possible. 4 different gravity plates directions so can lightly float near the mid. I heard you can float in the hangar bay. There certainly seems to be that impression, right? This bit here. I can't tell if he's this side of the air shield or that side of the air shield. Because, you know, art. Combat as industry, exactly that. I'm really not sure about the industry part. It's designed to operate as both a cargo hauler and a carrier of small vessels, though its military-oriented role sets it apart from the Raylan. Therefore, it trades a fraction of agility for greater resilience. In other words, slightly slower, slightly tankier. It stands out for lateral and vertical thrust profile. Whilst its forward acceleration is closer to the heavy end of the archetype, its mobility is better for its weight, offering responsiveness more typical of medium industrial ships. But this stuff does have consequences, as players should expect some oversteer. The result is a ship with an interesting personality, the mass and forward drive of a heavy industrial, the manoeuvrability of a medium one, and the structural strength of something built for contested environments. I'm not really seeing a lot of drawbacks in that, but I guess then again the ship itself is the drawback, right? I kind of think CIG forgets what industry is at times. Like, if it isn't a dedicated military ship, it must be industrial. You're not wrong. What kind of space and amenities can players expect on board? Dedicated sleeping area, mess hall, bathroom facilities. Great. So, precisely 0 of those are in use at the minute, right? Unless you're role-playing, in which case, fill your boots. The last time... the last time we ended up using a bathroom on one of the Friday night shenanigans, as a community game, Nero got locked in the bathroom. Don't know how he did it, he just did. Couldn't get the door open. That'll learn you. Hold it next time. Zero gravity core and walking on walls inside a spaceship are not something players have experienced before. What drove that decision? The hangar section is something we spent a lot of time on, ensuring it would feel good and as natural as possible while players walk around the room. The main benefit of this is it allows us to have lots of surface area while keeping the space open to allow easier access. It does allow bigger or more the effect of a bigger ship because you've got more floor space, right? If you imagine you opened out the whole thing flat and you laid it flat rather than having it rolled up like it is at the moment, that will be a significantly bigger ship. And maybe this is something we'll see from Gattac ships in the future. Maybe other alien ships. Don't know. Oh, God. So, yes. So, alien influences, not going into that because that's a lot of design choice stuff. And it's just me reading out at the end of the day, and I don't feel like that's particularly interesting. So, there. Sorry, Nero, that may have been me. Yeah, it might have been me as well. We did drug Dramlak, and he did get hit in the face with a fire extinguisher repeatedly. I'm talking about in the game, YouTube. Don't ban me. This didn't happen for real. Don't be a dick. Just say. Sometimes you get to clarify. Wita says, last game with the working bathroom for me was Duke Nukem 3D. Oh, God, yes. That. It can sell the 150k intersect missions in Nick, so it's pretty tanky. Well, yeah. Holy cow, that's pretty tanky. There we go. So yeah, interesting. Very, very interesting. So that's cool. What we'll take a look at in just a moment is this one. And this is... it's a really unfortunate... Sorry, dude. It's a really unfortunate place to pause it. I'm just going to come off this a second, and I'm going to go to this, okay? One of the things I wanted to talk about today is where we are at the moment. 4.8.1 was incredibly rough, and there are a couple of reasons for this. The people that don't know, 4.8.1, apparently we decided it would be a really good idea to release it without Evocati. And the reason it appeared to be released without Evocati, looking at it first, for those that don't know Evocati, in-game players that have been invited to the Evocati, they're under an NDA, and they test the build at mass, and they are dedicated people who go in, they get invited because they're submitting lots of bug reports. So they're going in and there's a thing to test. It's not just play the new thing early, they want you to go and test certain things. So at the moment I think it's just running around the platforms for Siege of Origin instancing just to see if they can break it. Not completing missions, not doing any of that, they are just running around to see how well it load tests. That's it. That's what Evocati do, and it didn't happen this time. And it seemed to be because even with the Wave 1 through 4 PTU stuff, it just... I don't know. It was so close to the necessary release of Defense, or just after Defenscon for the ships, whatever it was. For whatever milestone, I think it was Defenscon. For whatever milestone 4.8.1 had to hit. And rush is the thing I want people to take away from this. Hey Parker, good to see you, mate. The Ironclad feels rushed. Because they have all the issues with the command module and everything else. We got 4.8.1 being rushed into build. I think 4.8.2 was the same, correct me if I'm wrong, Evocati's. It just feels like at the moment, despite the fact that we now have a patch every 2 months rather than every month, which was the case last year, we are rushing things at the moment, and it's not necessarily evident why. And these are my thoughts on it. Because I don't know why you would be rushing Star Citizen because of Squadron 42. I could take a guess, and I could say maybe they want Star Citizen to be in a more advanced state for when Squadron 42 releases, hoping that you have a raft of new players who go, oh look, we have this shiny new adjustment or this shiny new game that we've completed and we want more, and oh look, there's an MMO side. That would be a pretty reasonable reason to try and rush and get Star Citizen into a state where people will make that transition and want to stay because of the stability of the game. If that's the aim, you know what's coming next? They've achieved the opposite. That is not what has happened. What has happened is a game that has managed to really knock off even very dedicated players because it's attacked, it seems, such fundamental systems, as in the stuff that you've got you can't access anymore. You loot stuff, it disappears from your backpack. People couldn't get access to their own inventories on the major landing zones, and so on and so on. And these are the basic, this is how we chart progression in Star Citizen right now. And people are hacked off, and they're right to be. So this is where we are at the moment. Avi says, it seems they're rushing to get a ship sailing almost every patch. It doesn't make sense to me if Squadron 42 related, because think of the sacrifice stability rep before Squadron releases. It could be that. I mean, it could just be that the ships are now done for Squadron 42. They're not the bit that needs handling. And now everyone that has been churning out ships for Squadron 42 comes back across. But you're right, that doesn't mean they need to fit a ship in every patch. Certainly not like the Ironclad was. I think the Ironclad is a big indication to me that things are not there. So yes. Wouter says, the issues I see are problems that have been there for years. Now the freight elevators have been bad for years. The new powers management is broken and don't start about personal hangars, etc. So yeah, I mean that's the core systems that you break. You break freight elevators, you can't store stuff. Haulers and that now have a problem with things. Anyone that wants to get anything out of their inventory that requires a freight elevator to do so, it's a nightmare. Even so simple as transferring SCU boxes. I mean, the inventory system helps a little bit if it's working right, that you can go to one of your inventory terminals and drop a SCU crate near it and you can actually move from one crate to the other. But it still doesn't beat the putting crates in there open and move all button, right? It's not great in that regard. They are struggling, for want of a better phrase. Now, what they did was they released a tech talk on Thursday. And I'm not, Thursday or Friday, whichever one it was, I'm not going to lie, I've struggled to watch it because I get a little bit wound up. So I'm a fair way through it now, but we're going to go back right to the beginning. And this is 47 seconds in. Jared has just told everyone that he's got a plan for this episode, and you know, we're not going to follow it because he's got some questions. And I just want to react because I think this first kind of 10 minutes is really, really telling, and it alludes to what I've said before. 4.8 and 4.8.1 have been rough. Very rough. Objectively very rough. To the point where they even delayed a free fly to stop people from, you know, getting into the game in the state that it was and really just exacerbating the problem. So even CIG have tacitly agreed that 4.8 and 4.8.1 are bad, and they will do so again in this stream. I don't think it's anywhere near as bad as 3.18, 318, right? That. You know what I'm getting at. What it is it's relatively poor, right? It feels the same for some people, I think, because of the relative staggering. We've had, and they say this and they're right, a significant upward trend in quality, stability, and content. The amount of content, I guess, so quality, quantity, and stability, since the beginning of last year. Give CIG their props. We have come a long old way since our first tentative steps into Pyro. We've got another system, we've got loads of locations and in-game events, and sure, not all of them work, but we're getting there with that. To then have this, it's nowhere near as bad as 318 was, but the drop in quality feels the same. So it's still eminently more playable than 318 was for most people, bar the shard locks that we experienced, and they talk a little bit about that as well. So let's just go and take a look at the moment. I'm just going to respond very quickly as a couple of people said stuff in chat, and then we'll have a look at the stream. Wiggy says, I also tapped out of SCL, and not sure what it is, but felt like I'd seen it too many times before. Wiggy, do you know what? I think that we've both had exactly the same problem with that. Jabba says, after literally years of not playing since 3.18, I wanted to return in 4.8, and it seems like nothing has changed. So it's Jabba's fault. Everyone can blame Jabba. It was Jabba's fault for coming back. How very dare you, sir, take yourself around the back and give yourself a good talking to, because it's just not acceptable. Why? Why are you going to ruin it for everyone else, man? Let's zip across and see what they've got to say. I'm just going to make sure our volume levels are pretty good, and then we'll talk about it.
Well, it started with an attempt at a bug fix a month ago. So with this 4.8 release and the way we've been doing patches this year, we have 2 streams when we work off from the working set. We have a base stream that we use for the base release of 4.8.0, and we have a hotfix stream where we bring all the continuous changes along. So there was an attempt at bug fixing something on the Idris that was actually creating some performance issue somewhere else that was checked into that stream, and nobody saw it, and it went.
For people that aren't aware, the Idris has been temporarily removed from ASOP terminals because it's done broken the game.
It went through. So we've been on the hotfix stream now for 4.8.1, now going to 4.8.2. In 4.8.2, we went back to the base stream, which are supposed to be at parity at this point, except additional content, because we've added additional content in the patch. That change was included. And so what's supposed to be a routine update became a massive, wide-sprawling issue. Because basically the Idris was no longer compatible with its persisted copy. And so what that would do is players have in their ASOP terminal, they have a version of the Idris that's from 4.8.1. This change, which was not supposed to be in the stream at all, gets in there. And so now the game server is expecting another shape for this.
That's exactly what it is.
The game server has a series of checks and balances for this, but he's the last banker in the chain. And so for him, if the schema is incompatible, he's like, there's data corruption risk, I'm out. And so...
Who's he in this analogy?
he's the game server, basically, right? So the game server is trying to spawn the Idris, wherever it is, right? So that's called the async spawn chain.
One of the things that I didn't realize as I was watching this, I was like, well, okay, all right, this is one thing. This is going to be a recurring theme. And this is why I found this so damn hard to watch. Keep that in mind.
And so as he's trying to resolve the object containers for this and to materialize the ship in game, he comes around an incompatibility. And then there's a hard check for this, because if we let those through, if we disarm this check, for example, then the game server might corrupt ships or might be twisting data, and then we would go wider than that. And so the game server would crash. So
there's all this. So there's all this stuff that we have to work on and fix.
Yeah.
There's all this stuff that we are working on and fixing. And yesterday, in a patch that was just supposed to add, the 2 new GATAC ships and some hot fixes to some of the more persistent
bring back
issues.
the odd fixes from the oddfix branch and move forward.
Completely unrelated check-in to the Idris.
Yes.
Somehow made it through validation or missed validation.
Correct.
It's like this. Got in, and now the server, which is still built, the persistence records, which are still built on 4.8.1, and expecting a 4.8.1 version of the ship.
Also 4.8.0, because
4.8.0.
they're compatible.
Really? Okay. So it's expecting a 4.8.0 version of the ship. Got a 4.8.2 version of the ship without knowing that there was supposed to be a difference, and just went, all right, I'm gonna head out.
That's right.
You did the SpongeBob meme.
Yeah.
And here is part of the problem, that people are saying, well, hang on a second, this just sounds familiar. This sounds like everything we've had before, and that's it, right? And this is what they're going to come onto, the guardrails, the safeguards that they've started to allude to here. Things are going to get passed. I think that's kind of, I guess, evident for everybody. That's just a thing. And in game development, like every game has that, right? It's just that it is what it is. The problem I have with this is so many have gotten through it once, and they're going to allude to that as well. And don't worry, I'm not just adding low value commentary here. I'm picking up on little bits that they've said, because it's going to drive what I'm going to say a little bit later on. This isn't just a react. There's a reason I picked this segment before we go on to talk about it. We're not going to have to endure too much of this, I promise, for those that found this tough.
So every time an Idris would be attempted to spawn, that server in that region would crash, and then restart, and then try to load the Idris again, and then crash again. And so as players were unstowing more Idrises and more shards, more servers got affected, until you reach a point where now the ops team is in the background, and they're like lighting all the fires, like the Rohan.
Yeah, you were
calling the Rohan.
I saw you online at like 3:30 this morning.
Yeah. And so we're looking at this, and basically,
I need to pick up on that. He was online at 3:30 this morning dealing with that, as in the morning of the stream. How many of us get up at 3:30 in the morning when it's not our shift to go and deal with fires at work? And I get it. He's the CTO. He needs to be. That's his role, right? That's exactly what he is. But still, holy cow.
we start cordoning off shards, because at the beginning we're not sure what the issue is. So we start cordoning off shards, and what happens in this case is, like, the more shards are getting offline, the less capacity we have for players that are either entering the game or shard hopping. We have a lot of people shard hopping, and so what happens is they hit the dreaded 60,012 error, which means, hey, there's no capacity in your zone. There is capacity, but we've had to restrict it in the meantime. And so we took a hard decision later in the night to prevent players from spawning Idrises temporarily, just to kind of stop breaking other shards. We brought more shards online to keep that playing. And then we basically went through and manually rectified. That's what we call percussive maintenance. When you see that in the status, it means we went in and we did a drastic measure to basically fix the Idrises that were either spawned in shards or still left in inventories, to make sure that they had the proper schema. And so now we know that all the Idrises are fine. We've lifted that temporary stoppage for that ship. And so now we're back. That's what happened.
Completely out of left field. Absolutely unrelated to...
If that was 3:30 that morning, he's in Manchester at the minute. So he's in Manchester, because that's the Manchester studio. I very much doubt that he was at work at 10:30 and then got in to that day. I think he's based out of Manchester anyway, so it was Manchester he was in.
All the stuff that we're working on, the stuff that the patch was supposed to be, and whatnot. This
bit is really telling.
This is a Cabret trays being spawned by some subcomponent in the Idris cargo room.
and it's not even anything specific. In this case, it's the Idris, but it's not because it's a capital ship or anything. It's just
it could have been any ship in that case. So normally there's a check-in discipline that we apply, especially this year, because we have a different publishing model this year. And so ships that have been distributed already in a given minor patch cannot be modified. Now, for some reason, this check-in passed all the validation check and ended up in the build.
We're gonna get to the show proper, guys, with what happened last night and Benoit up till all hours of the night. To say this is frustrating is
Understatement.
An understatement. It's. I'm gonna give you some time.
So I just want to put this a little bit, my perspective on what they're saying here. Can you imagine any other official kind of communication from any company ever where this is the attitude of the people who are giving the press release, in effect? That's what this is, right? It's not a press release per se. It's actually, it's customer facing. This isn't just a press. This isn't just going, hey, companies, report on us. This is direct to their customer, direct to their community, and this is the attitude that they're putting forward, which is really interesting. They know they fucked up, like big time.
We're going to get into the show proper, and then I'm going to come back at some point about why is this happening and whatnot. It's if I've got you here, I've got you guys here. We have to get into it. We have to get into it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm just going to pick up on that, AV. This isn't that the safeguards were ignored. It's that it got through the safeguards. That it passed every validation check and still broke everything. And they're going to come onto that in a second.
But yeah, let's go ahead and get started. Let's go ahead and get started with the show. Hi, everybody. It's a very weird start to the show. I'm Jared, the content director for Cloud Imperium Games, Proper Space Industries, and the host of Star Citizen Live, which is the show that you're watching right now. Approximately every quarter for the last year and a half, we have a show where we have a scheduled show where we have our chief technical.
Your pick.
Well, I'm way off the whole script today.
Yeah.
The chief technical officer, Benoit, on the show to discuss what is essentially the current technical state of the game. Now, I want to be real clear. This is about the technical state of the game. Design issues or content issues or whatnot, not the realm of the people that we have on today. Joining us on the show today, because we kept threatening to do.
Welcome in for those that have just joined. We're currently looking at last week's Tech Talk, the Star Citizen Live stuff, as he's just said. There's a couple of bits that I picked up as we go through this. The first is that the validation checks, this isn't a case of people skirting the rules. This isn't a case of people putting stuff in that didn't. The validation checks that should have figured all of this out, they appear automated, but they'll pick this up in a second, did not work for a lot of the things that are now broken. And the general theme that I want you to bear in mind as we're going through this is rush.
It, and we wanted him last time and whatnot, and it's like he made the mistake of promising, I'll be on the next one.
Yeah.
Is our director of programming, gameplay programming, or gameplay engineering, gameplay programming, Jens.
Both of them.
Both at the moment. And we're here to talk about 4.8, 4.81, 4.82, like this, the current technical state of the game. Now, 4.8 at this point went out about 4 weeks ago.
Yeah.
About 4 weeks ago. There was a lot of really great stuff before.
I'm struggling to keep it in. I'm not going to lie. The frustration is palpable, and look, Avi's just said it, and I'm going to go with this. And Wouter said something really interesting. It feels like doom and gloom, because I don't hear anything practically new in it. He says, and that's exactly it. So there are new reasons, and there are new bugs, and there are new problems identified, but they're not new causes. And the new causes is that, or the cause is, I mean, let's just get to the heart of it, right? They are developing 2 games at once, and despite despite Star Citizen being the game world facing game, because it's the only thing we can play right now, Squadron 42 is the one that they're focusing on. And I'm not having a crack at Squadron 42. But it's frustrating, because you are right. There is nothing new coming out of this. What we are hearing is an under-resourced MMO that is struggling because they don't have the safety checks. that they want, and they say this a little later on. They don't have the attention that they want to give it. And the result is that you have players in this game, and I'm not talking about me, I'm talking about other people. I'm very lucky. I'm incredibly lucky. My hangar is basically not my own. I have very, very kind friends, and a lot of my hangar is not of my doing. And an amazing community. There are people who have ploughed thousands of pounds into, or thousands of dollars into Star Citizen. People who are not interested in Squadron 42, and they are getting the short end of the stick because Squadron 42 is the priority. That. So there's this. And basically what they're going to go on to say is that they don't have the amount of people to be able to create these validation checks. The amount of content that they are pumping out right now, these validation checks are out of date, they are insufficient, and they cannot grow that at the moment at the rate of the rest of the content. And this brings us to the thumbnail and the title of today's stream, which is, we all need to be prepped for this to happen again. And again. And I get that. No, that's going to come as a surprise to very few people in here. I'm with you 100%. That's, I'm not, this isn't some revolutionary, prophetic, announcement that I feel like only I have arrived at. We all know this. But also, at the same time, the reaction to 4.8 and 4.8.1 from certain people, more 0.1, has got me believing that there are a significant number of people out there for whom that was not obvious. It's 318 all over again, the doom and gloom, all of this sort of stuff. There are people for whom this is not obvious, and we have systems that are going to be brought online within the game. We have StarSim, which is the Quanta, what Quanta is now being called. We have Armor coming in underneath things. We have the Planetech stuff. We have Starkitect. We have huge systems that are underpinning everything that will need to run on a server meshing model that has never been tried before. There are going to be problems. There are going to be bugs. And even if we end up this year with the game in the most stable playable state we've ever experienced, it's going to dip. It naturally will. Any game that patches at any point, you'll have good patches and the game will improve, and then the patch will come out and it will break stuff. That happens for existing games that are at release and are just being patched. This goes all the way back to games like StarCraft 2 are still experiencing this. So it's something I think that's worth looking into. Now, I agree with what Rusty says. There isn't any competition because we're creating something unique. That is something we should be both critical and proud of. And exactly that. That is what it is. That's the reason we're here, right? We wouldn't be here. If we thought this was just another game, we wouldn't have ploughed this amount of money into it. There wouldn't be this amount of following for a game that's been in development. Duke Nukem was in a development for a ridiculous period of time, had nothing like the following it had here. It doesn't have content creators and all that sort of stuff building this kind of community around it, and the community itself building, through orgs and groups and Discord and everything else. But it doesn't stop it being frustrating. And I can feel myself getting quite wound up about it, just talking about it, because I'm hot, because it's warm here, because I'm tired. It makes it incredibly hard to want to engage, and that's gutting, because DGP, I'm talking about the Discord that we have together, we play games. Lots of people are on, and I feel like I've had to pull back from that a bit, because at the moment the game is just... it's not fun for me, and that's freaky, and this is why, right? So this is if I were a less scrupulous creator, this would be the here's what I'm playing, not playing Star Citizen anymore. Is this the end? Woe is me. It's one of those streams, right? But it's not. Because that's not what it is. Because I know it's going to get better a little way down the road. It's just really tough right now. And the problem is it's coming into summer. And historically, player numbers dip over summer, certainly this hemisphere. And people find other stuff to do. And rightly so. Because there's better stuff to do than sit in front of your computer playing damn computer games. Just saying. But they've really damaged it. And, you know, I was kind of hoping that tactical strike groups and that sort of stuff that we are seeing, I was hoping that was going to be just this huge event. And while Tactical Strike Groups is a crazy amount of fun, it's been rough. It's been really rough, and I don't want it to be. And I understand why it is, and I just want people to have, no matter in the back of their mind, no matter how good it gets over the next 12, 18, 24, 36 months, until we get 1.0, and probably well beyond that, there are going to be times when this happens. Because even if they're putting in simple things that appear simple to you and I, it's still being built on top of a server meshing system and a game framework that hasn't been seen before. So even simple things are going to break stuff. And they talk about that a little later on. Armor. Armor made people's hands and feet disappear. And caused this huge issue. Because you put in a new suit of armor. Armor. And I get it. And I don't... like I say, I'm probably going to cut this stream a little bit short because I don't want to sit here and rant for 2 hours, and you probably don't want to sit here and listen to me rant for 2 hours. It's just frustrating, and that for me is what we are seeing at the moment. I'm going to take off that because I can't stare at that anymore. It's going to be frustrating for all of us. Brace yourselves, and all I will reiterate is what I always reiterate to people, which is you got to have other things to do, and I don't. That sounds really obvious, but what I mean is in terms of community, is things like this. You know, there have been so many orgs that have been started and people are really keen, and then the game stagnated for a while, and then the org is broken apart, and those little kind of sub-communities broken apart and are no longer part of the same thing. And I think having the ability to connect through other stuff, knowing that you're all going to come back and enjoy Star Citizen again, is really key. But there we go. Mark Excellent, welcome in, buddy. Good to see you. Java says, your passion for the game is real, otherwise you wouldn't be so gutted. We all want it to be a success, so the quality control, test, and automation has to be in place. That. And I'm not alone. I recognise all of us are here on a Sunday night in warm weather talking about this because we all have passion for the game, other than the odd troll. But I can't see any in chat at the minute, so we're all good. We're all here because we like it. There are millions of people invested in this game. There are over $1 billion invested in this game by people who believe in it and see the image, see the vision that's been set, and they want to be part of that universe, and that's really cool. And that's also something not to lose sight of. It's just at some point, CIG need to look at this and really figure out how they're going to stop this from happening again. And maybe, just maybe, they need to slow the pace of some of the things that they release to ensure that the core stuff is getting fixed. Because we didn't have this last year with a patch every month. It wasn't like this. The real end game is the friends we made along the way, Mark. Excellent. Never a truer word, my friend. So, yeah. There we go. 1.0, I'm going to say it. I've said it before and I'll say it again. We're not getting 1.0 this decade. We're not getting 1.0 before 2030. It's just not happening. No way. and this isn't like a Nix thing. This isn't like a Nix. I need to eat something weird. This is, you can do this yourself, right? And I've wanted to do a video on this for a while. But you can have a look at what they've got left to do, and then just go, okay, this is how many years we've got before 2030. What is realistically, how many years do we break this up into? So let's forget 2026, 27, 28, 29, 30. Does that look even remotely realistic based on the pace of stuff we've had released before? StarArchitect, StarSim, Starware, everything else that goes on, dynamic server meshing, instancing, everything else that we haven't had added, all of that stuff, working NPCs, cutting down the number of shards, all of that stuff in 4 years. I think the only thing they'll get done before 2030 that they talked about was the number of systems that they wanted. Genuinely, I think that's about all they're going to manage. Sorry, it's sunny. Sorry, it's been sunny. I've had the windows open. It's now dark outside, and I've got all these lights on, so I'm attracting every single bug. But it's too warm to have the windows shut, so I'm sorry if you're seeing stuff and me grabbing for things. But I've got daddy long legs and all sorts trying to get at the lights. So I know, mesh. I'm moving. I'll sort it at the new place. Yeah, so there we go. A patch with new ships every 2 weeks. That's the other frustrating thing, is it seems to be so much about sales. They've smashed it so far this year with the sales. They smashed it with the Odin. We are so far ahead of everything else. What is the rush with sales? I don't understand. Lots of chat about 40k stuff in chat. That's really pleasing to see. I was going to say I had a plan, right? There was going to be a plan. I wanted to do a tabletop channel to run alongside this one. I'm not going to do anything like that whilst this one is not pumping out regular, decent quality content, right? But it's on the list of things to do. And maybe we'll do a little thing of when I've moved. I have a dedicated space that's going to be the hobby cave. There is a separate area that's going to be the computer and streaming. My models, a gaming table, all that sort of stuff will be set up in there. And I'm really looking forward to that. When we get to that stage, I'll do a little bit of a video. I'll do a walk around and show you guys what's coming. That's going to be really exciting. My face is a verified landing strip for 1,000,006. No, because I get eaten alive, Wiggy. Wiggy, they Mozzies love me. We went to Sierra. We went to Sri Lanka. Not Sierra Leone. Sierra Leone would have been a shit honeymoon. When I was married, we went to Sri Lanka for a holiday, and my wife got bitten by Mozzies 7 times, and I had over 100 bites. Because I'm just so goddamn tasty. Nope. So that so that was a thing, right? I got absolutely munched. Aircon in the man cave, 100%. Absolutely. I assumed a mental break. What, me doing that? Just like trying to grab things out of the air. I need a pair of chopsticks, right, to start taking things on. The alcohol in the blood. I mean, I've been doing okay. I'm on. It is still zero caffeine. It is still zero caffeine copium. Coca-copium. But they've just changed the packaging. All it was the Diet Coke stuff. It wasn't available. There was one bottle at the back, and I was just like, you know what, I'll have this instead. But yeah, so I am still on the zero caffeine. Zero caffeine thing's doing well. I've had 2 cans of Red Bull. 1 week before last, 1 this week, and that went well on the caffeine ban. Trying to be more healthy. So yeah, there's that. I spent 4 weeks in Madagascar, not a single bite. Well, Stuart, just go away. Just go away, man. That's rude. Probably use all the work up in one go. Yeah, exactly that. And then, of course, I left the insect repellent in a taxi, so we had to go buy some more because I'm smart like that. But that's where we are. That's where we are. The game, and I don't want people to get hacked off at it. I don't want people to get annoyed any more than they need to. The problems in the game itself, while you're trying to play it and you're trying to enjoy it and you're trying to do stuff like tactical strike groups and everything else, people who've wanted to do refueling gameplay, obviously struggling. There's problems with the amount of money that you can, or credits that you can make with that at the moment. Look, all of that is frustrating in and of itself. If we add on the extra layer of expecting stability just to trend upwards, it will trend upwards, but that doesn't mean that there won't be troughs where it tumbles back down and we end up where we are at the moment. And I just think it's really important that everyone kind of bear that in mind. So yeah. Be happy I went to Caracas for military training in the past, had to sleep with bug nets and I still got beaten. Yeah, see, this is why I went Navy. You don't get mozzies in the middle of the ocean. Just, pick your branch, take your chance, I guess. But yeah. And I get it. And you guys don't think that you're making things worse by coming in. This is the whole point of this, right? Is we get to constructively whinge about the game. And that's the point. Is that we don't white knight the game no matter what people say. I love the comments that say I shill. It just tells me they're not actually watching the comments. But for those that do that, thank you very much for the engagement. Your comments help the videos go further. There are times when CIG needs a bit of a kick in the stomach, and now is one of them. It's I really want to be enjoying the game. I saw tactical strike groups and I was just like, I really want to give this a go. And I've not yet been into the tunnels to do the trench run thing, and I'm gutted. Spent 8 months out in Cyprus, at Krateri, with the RN squadron back during one of the Talik or Herrick's. We were guarding the ships that were coming in to bring aviation fuel to Akrotiri. So yeah, figured out how little work you guys do. It's not that you can't be annoyed, it's that you should move your focus for a short while. I'm sure you'll agree that the game isn't going anywhere anytime soon, says Notorious. Exactly that. Exactly that. Wooten, no apology needed, my friend. No apology needed at all. It's all good, mate. It's all good. I get it. It's frustrating. Yep. I'm right there with you. You're at Paphos. Yeah, so we go to Paphos. We couldn't go up the... What's the other end? There's the Ayia Napa. You couldn't go to Ayia Napa as military. We had to stay out of there because of an issue that happened there some time ago. But, yeah, we weren't allowed to travel to Ayia Napa. Yeah, Paphos was a good run ashore. I enjoyed Paphos. Everyone needs a vent now and then. Exactly that. And this is it. I don't want this to become a negative whinge that has no point to it. This wasn't supposed to be a rant. This is at the moment that I'm finding this really hard. And I'm even worried about, I want to do, I've been wanting to do the ready for inspection for the military ships for ages. I'm very, very lucky. I have a second rig inbound being donated by a very, very generous member of the community. Incredibly generous. I need to get up there and sort that out. But at the moment, I've got all the moving house stuff to do at work. So I want that because it's going to up the graphics quality and everything else. It'll also mean I can play more game on stream because I'll have a streaming PC, so I'll be able to run the two side by side. And I kind of want that increase in graphics and stability and everything else to do the ready for inspection, to improve the visuals. At the moment, I'm even worried about creating a guide to the first 5 missions for ASD. Because I don't know how it's going to behave. I really don't know, and I want the guide to run all the way through. So it's tough from a quality perspective at the moment, from a content perspective at the moment. Which I know I put myself in this mess. This is my fault, right? I decided to do this, stop whinging, just shut up and get on with it, and I get it. But it is at the moment it's not having the energy all the time to give it the quality that I want. And if it's a choice between releasing low quality videos that I'm not proud of or waiting to do stuff that I am, I'm going to wait. And that's just here. And I'm assuming by the fact that you guys are still here after such a drought of long form videos, that you feel the same way. And I'm eternally grateful to you guys for that. It's why I have one rule for Star Citizen, so to be paranoid officers. When there are issues or I have issues and I get frustrated, I walk away and simply follow the project. Exactly that. I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt until the end of 2026. If they release Squadron 42, like you said, and I wait for them to start making Star Citizen, that's it. Have you been invited to the Squadron 42 October meet in Manchester? I have not. No. No. I'm not going to lie. I'm not expecting to. Not a lot of content coming out at the moment. 3,800 subscribers, which is incredible for me. For them, probably not so much. Hey, if they want to prove me wrong, I would love it. I would kill for the chance, frankly, to be up there in October. We'll see. We shall see. I'll see what they say. They did say, I think I think it's middle of next month, beginning of next month. Basically, if people haven't responded, they're going to go out to another group of creators. Maybe I'll be in that crowd. I very much doubt it, but I would have loved to. If you'd asked me at the end of last year, I wanted the content at the point where, I was releasing regular content purposely so I could be on the radar for Squadron 42 for exactly stuff like that. But we'll see. They knew you wouldn't be able to keep quiet about what you saw. What are you trying to say, Calco? Shut your face. Drunk ship reviews. Yeah. Maybe. I might need to do that on another platform. I don't think YouTube likes that. Maybe I'll have to do it on another platform, but it won't be Twitch. You guys all know I've got issues with Twitch. One of the things that I might end up doing, just given where everything is at the moment, is I might end up creating other content that sits away from this. So maybe it's just links. So it's not videos that are here. Maybe it goes up on a platform. I keep getting asked, and you can ask. You could look in the video. Sorry, people keep asking me to do content about or putting up basically some sort of Patreon-esque thing. And frankly, the idea freaks me out for a whole bunch of reasons. First off, I'm British, don't like taking money from people. I certainly don't like asking for money because I'm emotionally stunted. But it's getting to the point where it might be useful. I don't know if you've noticed. Sitting back in my chair, this is as good as it goes. This is as high as it goes because this bitch just busted over this weekend. So a new gaming chair is required. And I'm about to move house, so it's not going to happen before that. So it's all lots of fun. Basically, my back is going to take a battering. But people keep asking if they can support the channel. And I'm thinking that one of the reasons I haven't done that at the minute is, A, I don't want to paywall Star Citizen content. I don't want to early release Star Citizen content. That's not why I did this. But I'm thinking, and I've said that to a couple of people who've suggested it to me, and I said, the biggest barrier for me is that I don't want to feel like I'm taking money for nothing. And they've been incredibly generous, and they said I don't need to release anything. So I was thinking every so often I might just record myself playing something else, throw some commentary in with it, and then have that as a reward on that platform for all of the tiers, as a thank you for people that want to do that. And that might be a nice place to start. I don't know. I still don't like it. You guys have probably noticed I've turned super chats off, I've turned super thanks off, and all that sort of stuff, because there've been problems with it. And the minute there are problems with people trying to be very kind and donate money, if there are any problems, I'll just stop it from happening, and that's where we have been, unfortunately. Thank you, guys. Carl, no worries at all, mate. Thank you very much for popping in. You take it. You take it easy, mate, and I'll see you soon. So yeah, that's where we are at the minute. Hey, this is turned into a rambly stream. I was trying to be a little bit more upbeat at the end. I'm just my thoughts are just tumbling out of my head. And thank you for not running, and it kind of abandoning me to this. I really appreciate it. That sort of stuff, maybe I can do a little bit more drunk streams and do other games and all that sort of stuff. I'm mad on Cyberpunk. Cyberpunk is just such a good game. I play Company Heroes, I play Sea of Thieves, I do a whole bunch of other stuff that I play. I might even, when my brain's at capacity and I can't think, I might even do some Minecraft from now and again. Heavily modded, obviously, but even that. So there, that's where I am with my gaming at the moment. I've done some Diablo. I just can't. I've got Midnight for World of Warcraft, and I can't go back, which is a shame, because I was playing since vanilla, and I've played every expansion since, but it seems like midnight will be my midnight for World of Warcraft. It's time to leave it. It's time to. But there we go. Start playing EverQuest Legends. Medieval Total War 3. Total War Warhammer 40k is going to consume my life if what we're seeing about it looks incredible. And that's the sort of thing that we can talk about this, right? I had another company reach out about a game, a space game. They wanted me to play it. I won't mention it because at the moment I've kind of gone, yeah, what is it you're expecting? And I haven't had a response. So, because of course I always want that assurance that I can say whatever the hell I want to say, because if I can't say that, I'm not playing. Full stop, the end. But responded, no response back, doesn't fill me full of confidence. So there we go. EQ took 7 years of my life. Exactly that. Personally, yeah, sorry, we said Total War 3. Yes. Here's hoping it is as good. I played WoW for years, but left it with the war within. Recently tried again and left under 1 month. Yeah. That's it. So yes, lots of stuff out there, lots of stuff that we can think of and look at and all that sort of stuff. And I am very, very keen to get back to it. It's just, I know I keep saying this, but this is where things are. And I want to explain it to you. I work for an understrength team. In an understrength team where I work, which is Coast Guard. We've just had someone leave to take a new job. I wish them well. We've just had someone retire. So what looked to be an improving number of personnel has once again become an understrength team, and there is lots to cover. It means that this whole work, getting home, not having the energy to do this stuff, it's not going away anytime soon, and that's frustrating. Because I do want to make content. I'd love to have done with stuff with Tactical Strike Groups. I would have loved to do stuff with the $1 billion milestone. I had this whole thing planned out. I had notes and the beginnings of a script and just got completely overtaken. And alright, the Odin completely beat me to it. But I kind of knew going into DefenseCon that I wasn't going to be able to make it. Between work and then doing the daily streams, it just wasn't going to happen. So there we go. Dark Angels, nice. Yeah, so at the moment I'm Astra Militarum. I do the Imperial Guard, but I do Scions. So I do Militarum Tempestus, Scions. I've got a full platoon of those at the minute. 30 guys all with vehicles, plus support guys, plus Valkyries and all that. And I want to up that to 2 platoons. So, yeah, we'll go with that. Work to live, don't live to work. Exactly. That's it. And I mean this genuinely, like, I know everyone says this, but I am very regularly, as much as I can, not so much right now, but I'm very regularly, whenever I can, in the Discord. So if you want to come and do this stuff face to face, you know where the link is, you know what you got to do, but we're all in there. So, you know, this sort of stuff, and I promise I'm able to string a sentence together better than I'm managing right now. Because I'm in there when I'm not as tired as I am right now. But yeah, that's where we are. Imperial Fists is where you want the fun or the Power Fists, the Pain Gloves are your kink. Good, that's what we like. Well, thank you, Parker. I appreciate that, man. You know, I train people in emergency response. I did it for myself for 6 years. I worked in teams and as a solo operator in London, covered the London for 12 hours a day, London River Thames for 12 hours a day. Now I train other people in doing the same thing. So I'm basically becoming the Coast Guard's search and rescue subject matter expert, emergency response subject matter expert within the training team. So that's kind of cool. Time for a pint and a nap, says Malemba. Yeah, probably minus the pint with the heat. I'm just going to give myself a headache for tomorrow. So the nap sounds great, I'm not going to lie. But I'm going to have a shower because it's been warm today and I'm sticky and horrible. So let's go and do that. Not together. This is not me announcing a shower stream. Absolutely not. I just realised how that came out. No, you're not. Not even slightly. And no, I'm not putting pics on Discord either. You horrible, horrible monsters. But there we go. So that's that. Gutted, says Blamsmith. Nobody needs to see that, man. Just nobody. Absolutely not. But yeah, it's going to be bad enough when I have to get the edible underwear. And if you're confused about what that is and you don't understand what the edible underwear is about, the only way you're going to find that is to subscribe. So there. I'm too tired to explain it. So, there you go. Oh, good God, Jabba, stop it. Yes, yeah, I've got my I got my water bottle constantly going in and out of the fridge. So they're kind of tag teaming. So this is cold at the minute, and then I've got juice in the fridge ready to go, and then change over. It's actually it's a Sea of Thieves water bottle. Came with one of the energy drinks. It's not Sneak, it's something else. Beyond that stuff. But it's a Sea of Thieves water bottle. And it always looks a bit manky because it's glow in the dark. So people are like, oh, you need to wash it. And then you turn the lights off and you're like, no, glow in the dark. And they're like, oh, get it. So that's cool. There's already pics of a Badger repeater online. We don't need that either. But yeah, that's where we are. I mean, what do we think? I mean, we've kind of completely moved away from the Star Citizen bit now. Do we need to see any more of that? Or are people kind of comfortable with what's going on? Does anyone need to see any more of that tech talk? I'm just going to have a quick look through the... The problem is, I mean, the first 32 minutes of this, and we are only 9 minutes in, so we've got another, 23 minutes of firefighting. Yeah, and then, after that, they talk about the shift in the patch schedule and the focus on content drops, and so on and so forth. And then they get to desync. It's basically all about what's going on at the minute. You have to wait an hour and a half to get to their explanation of why it's shard locked. Oh, I'm not doing that. It's just like, on an enjoyment level, I'd rate it up there with slamming your fingers in a door. So whilst I appreciate that they are working hard on this, that they don't want this to happen. They're obviously working hard on it. They want the project to be a success. It's getting a little bit old. It is. And you guys have said much the same thing. It's just... yeah. I don't know what else to say about it, you know? It just... it kind of is what it is, and there's not much else to mention about it, really. I'm hoping that next week brings us something a little bit more, you know, kind of content-worthy, I guess. Oh, I suppose there's one thing we could have a look at. I'm just going to... I know you can't see it. I'm just going to see if it's still up there. But it would be interesting to see... So what was it, the 17th and the Raylan came out? Let's have a quick look. So that was yet another, over the two days after the Raylan, that was yet another 2.5 mil from the Raylan and the Thule, or Tulio, or Tulu, whatever the fuck it's called. I don't care anymore. I'm not going to lie, boys. I've rapped a little bit. I do apologise. So yeah, what annoys me the most, says Jabba, is they were going for quality over the past 2 years. They nailed it last year. I will say that for them. And while certain things broke, the general stability, the systems, Stormbreaker, Hathor, ASD, everything else that's come out, tactical strike groups, the Vandal tech smugglers mission, they've really started to nail down the way the universe feels, and I think it's great. The Tylenol, good lord, you know, it's not in a bad place at all, and the quality did go up, and the stability did go up, and we went from, remember, you know, at the end of 2024, we still had only Stanton. and some preview of Pyro on a separate branch. And yet, in 1 year, we've now gone out to 3 systems. All right, Nyx is a half system, but that's where we are. So we're looking at a much better place, and there was an upward trend in quality, and that's why I genuinely believe that 4.8.1 has felt like so much of a tumble. What is not clear to me still, as I said at the beginning, is why there is this rush. I don't get it. It appears to be, as someone has already said, a rush to sell ships. And they are so far ahead of where they need to be. Unless there is some sort of problem that we are not seeing, it's not clear why this is happening. I suppose the only other thing that's potentially left to do... I'm going to flashbang myself for a second. Bear with me. Flashbang in 3, 2, there you go. Fucking, it's quicker than I thought it was. Interesting. I hadn't seen this. This is 2 weeks after it happened. But I hadn't seen this. Oof. I didn't even know this was out. So this came out June 6th. Saturday. This is their financials for 2024. And it's not the full financial filing, but it is the kind of nice shiny bit that they do here. So that's their income, and you can see a significant plateauing from 23 to 24. Obviously 25 was a much better place. Let's just do this. Let's try this. So 24, and you can almost see actually that plateauing there is what we expect, right? You have that big increase, and of course it's going to look slightly more here because there'll be other things that have gone on as well. Incentives, partnerships were significantly higher, and that's what's bumped that up. So there's that, right? It'll be interesting seeing the other bits. So trading costs actually went down for them by 4 mil. I'm very quickly, I'm ad hocing this. I had no idea this was here, so this is going to be really useful to look at, and maybe I'll do a bit of a dive into this during the week. Maybe I'll do a quick video on it. Contracted game dev costs dropped off massively with the acquisition of Turbulent. So now they've acquired Turbulent. That's dropped off hugely. Still increased in overheads, but then again, that makes sense. Yeah, so most of that ends this year. Remember the tax incentives. This is interesting. I don't like that. So what you're seeing here, I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Here we go. Let's do that. That's headcount. We'll come on to that in a second. And that's going to be interesting to see. So, trading costs is salaries, publishing and marketing, contracted game dev costs, other dev costs, G&A, I don't know, G&A admin, I guess. And then CapEx, which is, I think that's the capital expenditure. There you go. There is not as much of an increase in salaries as I would have liked to have seen, which would have indicated a continued expansion of staff. And there's why. Because the staff actually went down in 2024. Interesting. I'm sorry, I'm trying to put my thoughts together as we look at this. So you've got the darker color in each band. So this one, and this one. So you got Montreal at the bottom here. So that was 23-24. Hence the drop in contracted game dev costs. You've got US up here. So you do have, there are still US staff, but you do have a shutdown somewhere in there. But the rest of the world, obviously Frankfurt and Manchester taking out the lion's share of staff. I don't know. Here we go. Within the US, development headcount fell from 58 to 28, reflecting the staged and planned transfer of development activities to our Manchester hub. US publishing, community and marketing headcount also reduced by 26 to 100. These movements are consistent with the long-term strategic objective. Okay, so we knew that was coming. The headcount analysis represents the people working at the end of the year. It's not an average for the year. So if you got rid of like 300 people at the end of the year, it would only show that. It wouldn't show everything else. Yeah, I'm not sure. So what we saw over the last 2 years, which is really interesting, is red is negative. So they dropped 14 million. So the net pledges and income was 14 million less than the overall cost. But this is what they're sitting on, right? So what they're saying is here, basically, this isn't adding. So this is saying, hey, last year, their cumulative net position was this. Yeah. Then they dropped this in 24. So this plus this, or minus this, I guess, because it's a negative, is now this. And the math checks out on that. I'm doing it in my head as we speak. So yeah, so that's the drop. And again, I would expect that minus that is that. And maybe this is why we're seeing the increase in sales. Maybe 2025 will read something like the same. The improvement in the annual loss reflects the operational improvements achieved through cross-rationalization, partly offset by continued investment in our rest of world capability. The release of Star Citizen 4.0 in the fourth quarter was a watershed moment for the project. The addition of the Pyro system in the initial phase of server meshing, technology first demonstrated at CitizenCon 2023 in Los Angeles, delivered on commitments made to our community and demonstrated the tangible return on the significant investment made over preceding years. Interesting. This is quite interesting as well. The macroeconomic environment remains challenging and the games industry as a whole is experiencing headwinds. Our business model and loyal community provide a degree of insulation, but we are not immune. Our investor shareholders continue to share our confidence in the long-term opportunity as evidenced by their ongoing equity and financial support. Looking to 2025, we expect to maintain the cost discipline whilst continuing to invest in the capabilities and infrastructure needed to deliver in Squadron 42 and advance Star Citizen towards 1.0. Normal marketing gumph. So there's a filing that goes with this, and that filing often gets hid somewhere. So I will see if I can dig it out. because that normally gives a better look. And I know enough. I'm very lucky to have had a friend who worked in accounting. Sadly, he's no longer with us. But I know enough to kind of read. And I was on Space Tomato's stream, I think, last year when this came out, and we talked about it because I'd done a video, I think, on the weekend, and he was looking on the Monday and Tuesday. It's always great to spend time with Space Tomato, but yeah, just talking it through. So I'll see what I can find, and maybe we can do a bit of a pull it apart and figure it all out. That might be useful, right? That might be meaningful for people to see, because there are... Star Citizen and CIG have been playing a numbers game. They have tax credits and stuff that they can call in. There's one of the bugs. Just landed in my nose, cheeky bugger. And they haven't been doing it because they'd have to pay tax on it. And they've got to write... The losses that they create allow them to write off taxes because of the UK tax incentive on video games that ends the middle of this year. Ended the middle of this year. So they've been trying, I think, to... It might have been last year, in fact. But it was definitely inactive at the end of 2024. So they've been taking advantage of that. They've been playing the game. As someone said in chat, a numbers game. So, yeah. There's that stuff going on that people need to bear in mind as well. The bugs are beginning to annoy me a little bit. But yeah, we'll take a look. I'll see what I can find. I'll see what I can figure out, and we'll go from there. But that's where we are. That's where we are at the minute. Let's be honest, the RAM apocalypse and the storage prices are hitting PC gamers in a big way. CIG has to watch that trend too. And yes, so their costs on that front will go up. Obviously, I mean, that was kind of in it 2024, right? The GPU stuff was still tailing off. I don't know if the RAM apocalypse was quite in at the end of 2024 financial year, but there we go. But yeah. We'll see. Of course, the big thing for us is that I'm just going to jump back to the funding dashboard if I can find it. So that's 2024, and then of course 2025 looks like this, and 2026 is shaping up to smash it into the ground. So there you go. Because we are now at 9 mil. We've still got, what, 9 days left of this month? Ha! Got him. Sorry, just a little bit of revenge. Sorry if that was really loud on the mic, my bad. But there we go. Oh, I see what you mean, Jabba, yeah. We'll see. Some devs got poached by other game studios, hopes of the BMM. Is that what it was? I hadn't realised. Most likely due to Squadron 42 reaching feature complete and they wanted to polish, you would get rid of stuff no longer required. Well, what we're hearing, if the rumours that Astropub, Paul over at the Astropub, the Astro Historian, has been hearing, that was a little bit what we saw Solar in CitizenCon in Manchester. The statement that it's now feature complete was a little bit premature, unsurprisingly. But there we go. So that's where we are. This is what's going on in the world of Star Citizen. This is a very kind of, I guess, fatigued Badgers with everything that's going on, and I know I'm echoing kind of this sort of stuff as well. No point, Melemba, because whatever you get, I'm just about to move. I get the screens thing, but I'm just about to move, and I rent here, so I'm not that bothered. I'm in the process of buying my own house, so everything is going into that at the minute, and that's why so much stuff at the moment is all over the place. So yeah, once that's done, I'll be looking at air conditioning and all sorts of good stuff, so we don't have to deal with this again. Because obviously with this, with having a rig and stuff, and potentially 2 rigs, and all the lights and everything else, the heat's going to go through the roof. So being able to keep that room temperature controlled is going to be crucial. Lots of exciting stuff in the future. I've just got to put up with it as it is for now. So it's fine. I'll manage. Don't worry about it. And also, I like smashing them every so often. So there you go. So that's that. that's where we are. I'll have a look, see if I can dig out the actual financials. If there's anything interesting in there, then I'll do it. If not, I'll just share it for everyone so we can see. But yeah, thank you very much, guys, for putting up for a bit of a ranty stream. I was in two minds as whether or not to stream at all, but I felt like there's been so little content in terms of videos. I really wanted to stream and talk to you guys. We had a bunch of extra people join from the Alien Week stream, which is one of the most successful streams. Well, the most successful stream in terms of viewer numbers that I've had on YouTube to date. Over 180 people concurrently, which is really, really cool, really exciting. Really helped, I think, by the fact that CIG didn't put Alien Week live for a while, so we're all sat there going, where is it? So that was good. That's where we are. Thank you, Wouter. Thank you, Wiggy. Good to see you guys. So that's where we are at the moment. I will be streaming again Sunday next week. Absolutely will be here. There might be a little bit of a break in July. For reasons that I'm not going to go into, not gaming related, but I'm hoping that I will have some good news, also not house related. But I'll let you know when I know, when I know for sure. Next week we'll do a bit of a show and tell. I've got some cool sim stuff kicking around, and before I pack it all away, I want to show it off. I've got some really cool displate stuff. I've got a displate Lumino, which I'm really excited about, so I'm going to show that off a bit as well. Basically, we'll just do some stuff that means that I don't have to whinge about Star Citizen the whole time. But thank you ever so much for putting up with me. When I'm tired like this, I struggle to form sentences. I'm not my normal kind of jovial self. I'm going to try and put a little bit more energy into the streams as well. I realise that when I'm training people and stuff, there's a lot more energy, and that seems to help. And I'm going to try and port that into this, if I've got the energy to do that in the first place. And God only knows. No? Yeah. So there we go. Thank you very much for being here, guys. And yeah, we'll figure it out. That I've 404 badges not found. My brain is exiting through my ears, and this is a really good point to call it. You've been watching Drinkers with Gaming Problems. Thank you very much for stopping by. I'll see you soon.